Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. And I want to go over something pretty unique. I haven't heard anybody talk about this or anyone use this strategy. But if you're thinking about drafting the following players, it might be a good strategy to use. One of those players is one of my favorite fantasy players. It's Mike Evans. I think I've had him every single year in the league. I just love everything about him. He's big, he's physical, he goes and gets it. He's playing in an offense where the quarterback likes to target him quite often. Jameis Winston and him have a pretty good connection. He tore it up last year. Definitely was one of the most consistent wide receivers, was the wide receiver one. He produced several games, I think 5 games over 25 points. And now here comes Bruce Arians, a coach that's known for throwing the football. But if you get Evans, who has been really durable throughout his career, there's another receiver on that very same team that's expected to tear it up himself. I'm talking about Chris Godwin, who on any other team would be a wide receiver one himself, and now you're putting a guy with that much talent. I mean, he has elite talent. His metrics are through the roof. He runs a sub 4.5 40, his burst, his catch radius. He has everything you could possibly want, except, Mike Evans is obviously the wide receiver one in Tampa. But Godwin being in the slot, having that Larry Fitzgerald role, Bruce Arians already said, it wouldn't surprise him one bit if he gets 100 catches. It's going to be a big mismatch. So instead of deciding, if you want Evans or if you want Godwin or who's the better value, why don't you just go ahead and grab both? The reason why that makes so much sense is because Chris Godwin can ultimately be a handcuff to Mike Evans. Now, I did mention him being durable, but injuries happen to everybody. So if something were to happen to Mike Evans, and that's your wide receiver one, you selected him in the second round, Chris Godwin can easily become that wide receiver one. And even with Evans there, he could be a wide receiver one, similar to what we saw last year with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. So it's just a great way because not only do you have 2 potential wide receiver ones, not only do you handcuff your wide receiver one, but let's say if Evans has a subpar game, chances are in that offense, they're going to throw a lot. They're going to be down a lot, so they'll have to throw. Chances are at least one of them is going to go off every single week. So at least one player in your lineup is going to get 20 to 25 points, and he'll make up for the other one. So I absolutely love that idea. Like I said, you're just protecting yourself from all different types of angles, and you could start both. Very few teams have 2 wide receivers that have wide receiver one upside. So it's not like, you're putting multiple receivers from the same team and it's hurting your team, because if you play them together, they could still, you're not losing much. You're actually gaining by having 2 receivers in a throwing offense like the Bucs. And a similar situation, probably the only other situation I could say that in, is the Atlanta Falcons with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Now, Julio's a little different from Evans. I know he's been super durable, but I just feel like, at some point that car is going to break down. That car's been making a lot of noise. The AC went out, then you hear that clickety sound, and you had to replace your timing belt last year. And Julio Jones seems like that guy. He's 30 years old. He has that nagging foot injury on his surgically repaired right foot. So, if he stays healthy, great. But if you do decide to take the risk and take Julio Jones with your first round pick at the end of the first or the top of the second, I think it's even more important that you handcuff Julio with Ridley, because like Godwin, he has wide receiver one upside because of the offense he's in, even with Julio. You got Dirk Koetter going back there, going back to Atlanta, who coincidentally was the head coach of the Bucs last year when they were the number 1 passing offense. So Calvin Ridley, for sure, his floor is going to be wide receiver 2. So no matter what, Julio will be your wide receiver 1. Calvin Ridley will be your wide receiver 2, because that's what he was last year, even with Julio, and he was just a rookie. Had 10 touchdowns. So you got your wide receiver 1, you got your wide receiver 2. He does have wide receiver one upside, kind of like I mentioned to you with Godwin and Evans and Thielen and Diggs. Although with Julio in the lineup, I think he's more like a high wide receiver too. So I definitely think Ridley will be, flirting with top 15 numbers. But if something were to happen to Julio, again, Calvin Ridley will be that guy. Atlanta's going to be in some shootouts, and they're going to throw possibly even more than the Bucs. It's between, Atlanta and the Bucs who's going to throw more. But I definitely recommend handcuffing Ridley, and he won't hurt you being in the lineup with Julio either. The last unique situation has to do with the tight end, Zach Ertz. A lot of you guys are all in on Ertz, and why not? Didn't he break the receptions record last year? However, I don't see that happening again. There is a guy by the name of Dallas Goedert who is emerging. Philly said they're going to run more 2 tight end sets. And like the receiver situation, I think Goedert can be a tight end 1 even with Zach Ertz in the lineup. And as long as Ertz is healthy, I think he'll be, a top 5 tight end like he's always been. However, if you're picking someone that high, 3rd round for a tight end, you're passing up on guys like Aaron Jones and Kerryon Johnson and David Montgomery because you want to take a tight end. If you don't want to lose your team on 1 pick, make sure you get Goedert. Because again, if you miss on Ertz because of an injury, I don't think he's going to, have a bad season. But let's say he gets injured, your team's in shambles because guess what? Dallas Goedert is going to be a top 5 tight end. He's going to take the place of Ertz. He's in a particular situation where he's probably, every bit as talented as Zach Ertz. And because they feature the tight end and their pass catchers are okay, Deshaun Jackson's good, Jeffrey's good, but they're not great at this part of their career, this point of their career. So they're going to feature the tight end. They're going to run 2 tight end sets. And if you look at all the top tight ends, most of them don't play 90% of the snaps or 80% of the snaps. Vance McDonald last year was a TE1 with only 50% of the snaps. So even if Goedert only plays 50% of the snaps, he could still be a low TE1. But more importantly, like I said, protect your investment, guys. If you're gung-ho about picking Julio in the 1st, that's high for a risky player. I know he's been durable, but he's still nagging injuries going into the season are a concern. Getting up there in age. Remember, you can lose it 1 year to the next. Protect yourself with Ridley. Same thing with Ertz. You're picking a tight end in the 3rd round. You're passing up on potential RB1s. Protect that. And then Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, those are 2 great receivers to have. So I hope you liked this video and enjoyed this strategy. If anything, I hope that it made you think if you're considering drafting these players. If you have any questions, like always, guys, make sure to comment down below. And if you did enjoy this video, give it a like, give me a sub. It does go a long way. Thanks, and until next time.